Hey you guys, welcome. Tamara here. I was just finishing up one of the sewing tutorials for an upcoming Club Grace pattern that's coming out in October, and at the same time I'm also working on that project for the Modes for You fabric collaboration. And while I was doing that, I came across some files that I had taken of all of the dolls that I consider the house models for Designs by Jude. So several times people have asked me, including my own mother, how many dolls do you actually have? So I've actually never sat down and counted them. Maybe that makes me feel a little bit less guilty when I actually decide I'm going to buy another one, whether I need it or not. But I thought it would be fun to share just a little bit of a sprinkling with you of the different dolls that I use to create some of the patterns that we have available. So here's a quick overview of the dolls from smallest to largest, 10 inches to 70 centimeters, and I'll break them down for you as we go through the video and answer a few of the questions that I most frequently ask. Today is really just going to be more of a show and tell than anything else. So I've had several questions come up in the last couple of months about how I started my business, how I got started sewing patterns, and just what makes me collect dolls, what do I like about it, and things like that. And I just wanted to quickly share some of those answers with you all, and to just say hello and introduce you to my house models. So if you go onto our website and you look at just the categories of different doll bottles, different doll bodies that we have, there's 64 different doll bodies. Now, I wish I could say I just had one doll body per style, but that's absolutely not true. And I only put in the lineup of the dolls that I'm going to show you one of each of the actual bodies. Some of the dolls, for example, like Poppy Parker, I might have 25 Poppy Parkers, several fashion royalties in different body sizes, a ton of Tonner dolls, more than one Elowen, etc. So you get the idea. So I just think it's a lot of fun, and as my mom watches this video, she will also realize that I have the majority of her dolls as well, so please don't tell her. Anyway, I thought it would just be fun to go through it. So I'm going to talk you through some of the pictures, and again, this video is just for information and show and tell, so if this isn't content that you're interested in, it doesn't have any sewing involved in it, I'm not going to be showing any patterns that I've recently made or anything like that. So I really have been having a lot of fun creating these videos and spending time with y'all. It is a little nerve-wracking to get started with the YouTube channel, but I'm hoping that I'm getting a little bit better at it as far as the demonstration and the information that I'm able to provide for you. So if you have been enjoying the content, please hit that subscribe button, and I try to put out videos at least once a week for new sewing projects, and also just different tips and techniques or information that I have come across in the doll collecting hobby / business. So thank you so much for being with me today, and let's go ahead and look at those Designs by Jude house models, starting from the smallest one that I have, which is the 10-inch Coquette Sissy. I've tried to take one of each of the house models and lay it out sequentially on the floor from smallest to largest. So starting on the left-hand side is a 10-inch Coquette Sissy, and she's sitting next to Tiny Kitty. And then we have a doll by Berdine Creedy, a 10-inch Patsy doll from Robert Tonner. Next to that is Denis Bastian's Leanne doll, and then a Silkstone Barbie. In the middle, that tan beauty is the Poppy Parker. She has about 25 other sisters that live here as well. And then the 12-inch House of Zenith doll by Sybarite. Next to her, we have an East 59th doll. There's a fashion royalty on the newer FR2 body, and then a new face doll, also from Integrity, next to the old body for the fashion royalty doll, and that one is probably the oldest fashion royalty that I have. Next to her, we have the Revlon 13-inch fashion doll, who shares a body with Agatha Primrose, and next to her is the adorable 12-inch Bethany from the Kish company. Next we have from Ruby Red Galleria a 12-inch Sensen doll, and that doll is extremely posable and quite fun to work with, so she has quite a few patterns in the collection also. Next to her we have Lenny, which is the brother of Leanne, also from Denis Bastian out of Canada. What a great company, Affordable Designs. If you're not familiar with them, I recommend looking them up and looking into their products. They've got some really great stuff. Next to Lenny, we have Marley Wentworth by Tonner, and that was the girl that started it all for me, and I'll tell you about that in just a minute. She's next to the 13-inch Agatha Primrose, who shares the body with the Revlon doll. Lucy Pevensey is up next. She's from the Narnia series. Then we have Patience with those great googly eyes, and next to her is the Flexi Pose. I actually first started sewing for dolls probably in the early 2000s, but it wasn't until 2007 that I put out my first pattern. And that pattern was for Marley Wentworth. She was Tyler's little sister, and she was a 12-inch doll. And I'm not even sure why I decided to do a pattern for her, but I just remember at that time that people were often commenting that she didn't have any additional clothing other than what she came as a manufacturer doll. So my very first hand-drawn pattern was for Marley Wentworth, and that pattern was the Marley Wentworth Basics pattern shown here. I continued to design patterns probably for 3 additional years, and I had a collection of about 75 when I had the opportunity to be asked if I would like to purchase the doll market in Greensboro, North Carolina. Now, I don't know if any of you are familiar with the doll market, but it was owned by a woman named Jackie, and she was fabulous. Here I am, this young person at that time, and I hardly had any money. I was pretty much waiting month to month to pay my mortgage, and this lady asked if I'd like to buy her doll shop, which I don't even know how big it was. It was probably 10,000 square feet, one of the largest doll shops in the world at that time, and I know that if I would have bought that, I probably would end up living in a tent. But that opportunity gave me the idea just to think bigger than I currently was thinking. And then shortly after that, Gary Fletcher decided to sell the Fletcher Pattern Company. So my mom saw that available online, and she gave that information to me. And that was a lot more doable than a $450,000 business when you're a 20-something married with 2 kids. So my husband and I talked it over, and we decided to purchase Gary's company. And it was one of the best decisions that I've made for my business. And at that time, I think Gary had about maybe 75 or 80 patterns, but he had a following on social media. He had a website. At the time, I was only selling on eBay. And from that, we just really blossomed. So that was in 2008 that I purchased the Fletcher Pattern Company. And today I have about 1,000 different patterns available online. And I'm currently selling on eBay, Amazon, Etsy, and my website. The majority of the house models for the Designs by Jude patterns come from the next grouping, which is the medium-sized fashion dolls. It starts off on the left with the Jean Marshall doll, one of my favorite classics, the teenage doll from Robert Tonner, and then an American ball jointed doll called the Gudru doll. We have then next the 16-inch Urban Vita doll, which is really lovely, standing next to a 16-inch Tonner Sydney Chase doll. And in that nice brown skin tone, we have the 16-inch Kingdom doll, quite expensive but super beautiful. Next to her, we have the Elwyn Wild doll, which has recently been reintroduced with Robert Tonner through the Virtual Doll Convention. The Ficon doll, we have a Cami doll, a 16-inch Integrity Poppy Parker doll, who stands next to the Deja Vu, a Sybarite doll, Jamie Show, RTB 101 body doll, the Mods doll, Doll She. Next up, we have the Fashion Alex doll from the Madame Alexander Company, the Princess Diana doll from Franklin Mint, a Curvaceous doll from Tonner, a City Girl Playline doll from Tonner, followed by the Super Deluxe Deanna doll, which is one of my personal favorites, the original vinyl Evangeline Ghastly, and a 17-inch Susan Pevensey doll from the Narnia collection. The first video I did was for the Virtual Doll Convention, and it was at the request of the Virtual Doll Convention inventor, Rachel Hoffman. And I remember specifically saying to Rachel, can I just give you a PDF of instructions? I was so nervous to film the first video and really didn't have the knowledge or skill at that time of how to edit it or what camera angle to use. And that's still a learning process for me today. But I'm so thankful that I did, because from that, now I have over 60 videos on my YouTube channel, and I get frequent requests from people for different designs or have different questions about ways that they can put things together easier, and it's just a lot of fun. One of my favorite things about being in the doll collecting / sewing hobby is just trying to figure out how to make something out of nothing, or to see a line drawing and then try to figure out how to turn that into a pattern, or to see how to take a human size fashion and to shrink it or make it appropriate for a doll size. And it's just can be really frustrating at times, but for the most part, I just super enjoy it. And it's just been a great opportunity, and I feel so blessed to be able to work from my home, to be with my family, but I also have a job outside of here as well. So it's just a great balance for my life. For the last assortment of dolls I want to share with you are the larger dolls that I sew for. Starting on the left, we have a Trent Osborne doll. He's standing next to Matt O'Neill, who is also standing next to a resin version of the ABGD Gudru doll. Next to her is the Kingsman doll. The very first BJD doll I ever owned was Odella, who stands next to Kitty Collier. And there we have one of my mom's K Wiggs dolls in the middle, who stands next to the plastic Evangeline Ghastly. We have the Ippelhaus FID female doll standing next to 19-inch Peter Pevensey, the last doll of the Narnia series, who stands next to the FID Ippelhaus doll, and he shares space with the 21-inch Sissy, who I love. Then we have the 22-inch American doll, the 56 centimeter BJD doll of my mother's, 64 centimeter Ippelhaus, who stands next to my final two dolls, which are the EID and the 70 centimeter Ippelhaus dolls that I have in my collection. My advice for anybody that's interested in sewing to sell their goods online is to just really take a minute to ask yourself why you want to do that, and then just have a plan. You don't have to have a business plan. You don't have to incorporate. You don't have to go through all of those steps to create an actual business. You actually just have to sew something and sell the first item. Then you'll decide if you like it and you can stick with it, or you can make changes based on your experience. For the most part, online selling for me has been 99.9% positive. I think it's two reasons. I try not to sell anything that I wouldn't want to receive in the mail myself. Now, I'm not saying that everything's perfect, it's certainly not, but if I question something's quality, I try not to sell it, because it's more damage to put something out there that someone sends back than it is to just take the time to make the item right the first time. The second reason I think that I've had pretty good success online with my business is because karmically I believe there's nothing that I can sell that I'm not willing to take back. Nothing should be the straw that breaks the camel's back. And I can remember a few times when I was doing doll repaints where I had people request to send the item back, or they purchased it and then they weren't able to, or didn't want to go through with a payment. And even though I know that it's recommended that you always work those issues out, I have to believe that people know what's best for them. And if they feel like it's not the right time for them to make a big purchase, and for some reason they did, and it was an impulse purchase, I think it's okay to go ahead and let someone have the grace to back out of a transaction sometimes. Well, thank you guys so much for stopping by today. I hope you enjoyed seeing the selection of my house models and hearing a little bit about my story. If you have any questions about Designs by Jude or the Fletcher Pattern Company, which is actually the same company, please just list them in the comment section below. As always, please hit that subscribe button if you like the content of these videos, and let me know if you have any questions. I'm here for you guys, and I look forward to seeing you soon in the next video.